To survive in woke culture, you have to become a liar. You have to lie repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture. And she is herself a victim of that and a perpetuator of that. So yeah, it's absolutely shameful and she should feel ashamed.
So just like everybody else in the world was commenting on this absurd performance that she wanted everybody to comment on, I gave my opinion on it, which is that it was degenerate.
Candace Owens doesn't do hide and seek, especially not with Drew Barrymore. So when Barrymore decided to grovel at the feet of the woke mob, Candace said, "Hold my beer," and went straight for the jugular. The former Daily Wire host didn't just call her out, she obliterated her, delivering an uppercut so brutal it left Hollywood gasping for air. So what exactly did Candace say that has Drew Barrymore and her army of virtue signalers rolling in the mud? And how is the internet reacting to this epic takedown? Stick around because we've got all the juicy details right here.
In woke culture, you have to become a liar.
Candace Owens is in full-blown wrecking mode, and this time she's demolishing Drew Barrymore and dragging all of woke Hollywood into the shadows with her. A few months back, Barrymore sparked a social media firestorm when she invited trans woman Dylan Mulvaney onto her show. But let's be real, whatever heat Drew faced back then was a flickering candle compared to the fireballs Candace Owens just unleashed. And no, this wasn't about Dylan's gender. Candace's outrage was aimed squarely at Drew's shameless pandering to the woke mob. The show itself? Oh, it wasn't just cringe. It was a tragic parody of reality, starring phony characters and produced by amateurs who wouldn't recognize authenticity if it slapped them in the face. Candace Owens, however, saw right through Drew's condescending smiles and painfully fake empathy. She wasn't just shocked, she was disgusted. So what did Candace do? She tore through Drew's carefully crafted facade, exposing her for what she truly is. A once beloved actress who has sunk so low, she's now just another cog in a performative machine of Hollywood wokeness.
I really am. This is, it's very personal for me in a world where we're all trying to figure out who we're supposed to be. The risk,
yes,
the bravery.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Drew kicked off her show by boldly claiming that Dylan Mulvaney's journey somehow mirrored her own personal struggles. Wait, what? Candace Owens wasn't buying it, and neither are we. Here's Drew, a biological woman, comparing her life experiences to those of Dylan, a trans woman, as if they're somehow cut from the same cloth. Now, let's get one thing straight. Nobody's denying that Drew has had her fair share of personal struggles. But comparing them to Dylan's, that's like saying a cat's bad hair day is the same as a lion's existential crisis. Dylan's challenges stem from his relentless pursuit of transitioning from manhood to womanhood. Drew, on the other hand, is an actual biological woman dealing with, well, real woman problems. These two worlds are about as similar as the North and South poles. Opposite, distant, and utterly incompatible. And yet Drew decided to spin this absurd tale, seemingly to win brownie points with the woke mob. Enter Candace Owens, the one person you don't want to try this nonsense with. She saw through the charade, called it out, and gave Drew's narrative the verbal smackdown it deserved. By the way, if you're tired of watching Hollywood's woke circus unfold, hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, we promise to keep delivering the hard-hitting, no-nonsense takes you won't find anywhere else. Plus, you won't want to miss it when we go after the next celebrity slip-up. It's like popcorn-worthy entertainment. Now, here's a question for all of you. Do you think Hollywood's obsession with woke culture has gone completely off the rails? Or is there still hope for a reality check? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Woke culture, you have to...
Things took a dramatic turn when Drew Barrymore asked Dylan Mulvaney about the negative comments he's faced since coming out as a trans woman. Dylan, in response, brushed off the haters, saying he doesn't waste energy on the negativity and instead focuses on the folks cheering him on. Fair enough. He even gave a shout out to a few celebrities for their support and gushed about how he hoped to meet them one day. And then cue the theatrics. Drew's pandering kicked into high gear. She contorted her face into what can only be described as an Oscar-worthy attempt to shed a tear, turning the whole thingy into an emotionally charged spectacle. Was it genuine? Well, let's just say Candace Owens would beg to differ. Watching Drew perform her empathy routine was like watching someone audition for the role of Hollywood's most woke.
To do anything but be myself and be happy. Love ya.
Thank you, everybody, for that support.
Unfortunately for Drew, she couldn't fool Candace Owens, who wasted no time calling her out for what appeared to be nothing more than an insincere pity party. Candace saw right through the crocodile tears and fake empathy, exposing the entire charade for what it really was, a calculated attempt to pander to the woke mob.
Repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture. And she is herself a victim of that and a perpetuator of that. So yeah, it's absolutely shameful and she should feel ashamed.
The woke brigade was all about brainwashing its followers through sneaky tactics, just like what we saw in that video clip. They were a runaway train barreling towards disaster. No brakes, no chance of steering, just the inevitable chaos of a crash waiting to happen. And Candace Owens, she wanted no part of it. Her verbal takedown left a sour taste in the mouths of Barrymore and her woke army, but that was just the beginning. Candace had more in store, and trust me, the best salvos were yet to come. As the show neared its end, Barrymore decided to turn it up a notch by holding Mulvaney's hand and kneeling in front of her. What some tried to call a moment of emotional sincerity, others saw it for what it truly was, a hollow, desperate display of emotional theatrics. And Candace was ready to call it out for the performance it was.
It's interesting because I look at someone like you and I can't imagine anybody disliking you.
Oh, please. Do you want to know, ironically, who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Who?
Myself.
Oh, me too. Oh. But I guess, you've asked me, what I would do to combat the hate, right?
Yeah.
But what do you do?
Okay, that's a great question.
This pity party was so over the top, it sent Candace Owens into full-on overdrive. Like a shark smelling blood, Candace zeroed in with the precision of a pro, ready to tear this whole thing apart. She absolutely shredded Drew Barrymore for practically crawling over Dylan Mulvaney, trying to win brownie points with the woke crowd. But wait for it, here's the real gut punch. Candace wasn't just frustrated. Oh no. She was deeply concerned that people like Dylan were turning womanhood into a joke. And to make matters worse, actual biological women were just standing by, enabling the whole circus. If this isn't the ultimate betrayal, I don't know what is.
We should have been the ones to put an end to Dylan Mulvaney, but we didn't because we feel bad. And shouldn't we just feel bad for men that want to be women and mock us and put on lipstick and pigtails and call themselves a girl? I think not, Tucker, but woke culture says yes.
The passion in Candace's voice was practically screaming through the screen. You could feel her intensity, like she was ready to throw down and fight for truth with everything she had. Unlike Drew Barrymore, who's busy chasing woke points, Candace stood tall with an unyielding spine, fearlessly calling out the nonsense and flipping the bird to the cancel culture warriors. She didn't just speak up, she came out swinging with the kind of passion you can't fake. And guess what? She wasn't alone. Other women jumped on the bandwagon to call out Drew and Mulvaney's little publicity stunt. One of the most notable? Megyn Kelly, who didn't waste any time throwing her 2 cents into the mix, and trust me, her opinion wasn't sugarcoated.
That what is most bizarre here, Dylan is the normal one. Dylan is not behaving, to me, in any particularly odd way. Drew Barrymore is.
Megyn was equally stunned by Drew Barrymore's kneeling in front of Dylan. To put it in her own words, Barrymore was practically bowing at the altar of Dylan and transgenderism, calling it the cringiest moment of the entire video. According to Megyn, the image of a biological woman laying herself out in front of a trans person perfectly highlighted just how ridiculous woke politics have become. It was like a flashing neon sign of what was driving real biological women crazy. If you didn't fall in line, suddenly you were branded a transphobic bigot. But here's the twist. Megyn pointed out something you might have missed. Let's take a moment to rewind.
Which is trans women are coming into our locker rooms and our sports and our bathrooms and our colleges and so on and taking over.
Megyn is absolutely right. Y'all remember when Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, was awarded Woman of the Year by Glamour magazine in 2015. Even though she was a biological male, do you remember the brouhaha it generated for people who are not on the same train as the woke mob? If you don't, here's a harsh reminder of the woke party's intolerance for differing views.
Even so, you have a thing like Klinefelter's syndrome. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you actually discuss the genetics or no?
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics, sir?
Zoe, I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Yep, the woke mob doesn't take kindly to having their little world rocked. But credit where credit's due, Ben Shapiro stood firm and didn't back down. Ben made it clear that Caitlyn Jenner's chromosomes, not her feelings, determined who she was. And he argued she didn't deserve the award she got. In Ben's world, that honor should have gone to a real biological woman who's actually out there blazing a trail. Now, Ben wasn't as razor sharp with his words as Candace, but he still made his point loud and clear. Trans women shouldn't be lumped in with biological women. But leave it to Candace to take it a step further. When she crossed paths with a woke college student, not only did she absolutely decimate the student on transgenderism in sports, but she also sent them running from the debate in a full-blown rage. Talk about owning the moment.
People that are allowing men to compete in these women's divisions and to obviously dominate. Riley Gaines, who has spoken about how she competed against Leah Thomas and it was not fair. I am open to Leah Thomas.
Say it's not fair.
Don't ask me a question and then cut me off when I give you the answer. It's just obnoxious. I am open to Leah Thomas and every other trans person having their own category at the Olympics and allowing them to compete.
I love that your solution is separate, buddy.
Candace's epic clapback didn't just send that woke student scurrying with their tail between their legs. It also served up a brilliant solution to the whole mess. Her idea? Trans women should have their own separate sporting categories, instead of going head to head with biological women who are clearly at a disadvantage. Let them compete among themselves, Candace argued, and everyone wins. Her genius move didn't go unnoticed. One commenter summed it up perfectly, saying, "She couldn't handle the truth. Good for you, Candace Owens, for calling out this ongoing BS." Another fan echoed the sentiment, stating, "Candace makes common sense this generation doesn't understand. They get offended. Give the LQB their own division and leave male and female alone. There's a reason men and women were separated in athletics to begin with. These people are willfully ignorant to the logic behind it." As for Candace, she took no prisoners. She didn't just knock the woke mob down a peg, she obliterated them. And when it came to Drew Barrymore, she didn't hold back either. Barrymore's performance that night was nothing short of appalling. It was like watching a performer trip over her own feet, desperately trying to keep the show going while her facade cracked with every step. What was supposed to be an emotional moment turned into a chaotic mess as Drew danced around with all the grace of a puppet tangled in its own strings. And who was the mastermind behind calling it all out? Candace Owens, with a razor-sharp wit and no-nonsense rhetoric.
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough, get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this.
The woke mentality is barreling down the highway to destruction, and leading the charge is Candace Owens. Her fiery critique of Drew Barrymore's pathetic posturing when Dylan Mulvaney appeared on her show proves just how willing Candace is to call a spade a spade. Unlike Barrymore, Candace has a spine and it's not about to snap anytime soon. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you actually liked it, hit the like button and consider subscribing for more of this unfiltered, no holds barred commentary. See you in the next one.